This is the strongest Battlegrounds, the most popular Battlegrounds game on Roblox with over 5 billion visits, and there's just one thing. It wasn't always like this. There wasn't always 8 characters, multiple game passes, billions of players, and today I'm going to talk about what the game was like when it had just gone out. Now, it doesn't take a genius to deduce that the map that I used for most of the background footage of this video isn't the original map. I made it as accurate as I possibly could, but just note that this is not exactly what the map originally looked like. And without further ado, let's get into the video. I vividly remember the first day I played the strongest Battlegrounds. It was late February and I was homesick from school. I was bored and looking for a game on Roblox to play, and that was the exact moment I found it. When I joined, I was brought into an empty base plate with nothing but a brick wall, a few spawn points, and a bunch of people fighting each other. At the bottom of my screen, I had a hotbar with 4 moves and a strange bar. The 4 moves being normal punch, consecutive normal punches, shoves, and uppercut. The bar said serious mode on it, which I found quite strange. Now, you're probably sitting there thinking, consecutive normal punches, but it's just called consecutive punches. And yes, you'd be correct. They are now called consecutive punches. But back then they were called consecutive normal punches, which I found very funny when I was playing to get footage today. So I was explaining how I first obviously used all the moves from left to right. So first I used normal punch, where I was like, yeah, that's pretty crazy. But then when I saw that the next move was called consecutive normal punches, I was very, very confused because, well, consecutive normal punches would assume that I do the normal punch thing, but multiple times, which sounds very strong. But nah, it's just a few very, very, very weak punches instead, so I was wrong. The only other thing in the entirety of the game was the ultimate, serious mode. And upon activation, I saw that I only had 2 moves instead of the 4 I normally had, and they were different. I had death counter and table flip, and because death counter was the first of the 2, I used death counter first. Very confused because no one hit me, obviously. I farmed for my ultimate again, and I then figured out how OP death counter is if you're smart. I mean, look at this. Anyone with enough brain cells can easily abuse how OP this is, because they can just go behind them and then do a big smack. If that's not overpowered, I don't know what is. Oh yeah, and also table flip is a thing. I did not know it at the time, but if you use it while someone is right in front of you, you actually knock them away and you get a free hit off of them. But table flip is quite high profile and does a lot of damage to not only half the players, but also half the map. And the legitimate only other thing in the entirety of the game was the replayability. Every single player I fought had a different play style and had a different skill level, and it was insane just to think about it. Not to mention, the play style on this map was actually very different than the one on modern day, because as you might have noticed, you can literally hit people off the map with either uppercut, shove, or normal punch. Uppercut, of course, being the worst to do the strategy with. This meant that the playstyle changed, and that while fighting, you always wanted to be on the attacking side towards the void. So, for example, if I were to do shove, I should be hitting them closer to the edge of the map, not closer inward. Because this gives you much more opportunities to knock people into the void. And when you knock people into the void, they die, which is good for a fighting game. Oh yeah, also, I lied. On the first day of me joining, there is actually the first move of Garo, aka Hero Hunter. And I didn't know this when I first joined, so I was very confused why one person had moves that, even with my ultimate, I couldn't replicate. I didn't look into it or into the game passes or anything until probably a week after, so it was very big confusion for the first week. But I figured it out, don't worry. Also, playing as Garo at the time was not a very good strategy. You had one move, like what are you gonna do? Hit me with a combo? Oh yeah, with your one move? Oh yeah, another thing, there was no 1v1s, no emotes, Next to those settings, blood was always on. Like, you had no option to turn blood off. And not to mention, no cosmetics and no Game Pass gifting, but that's also because the only Game Pass at the time was early access, and that wasn't even really worth it, honestly. And that's the end of the video. I thought it was going to be longer too. Although, when you think about it, it does make sense that there was so little stuff for me to talk about during this video. The game had just been uploaded, and there was still nothing for me to really talk about, so that's really all. See ya!